And you got the whole bloomin' lot. That was the scherzo from Beethoven Symphony No. 9. I'm vk3sl and we're here again and trying to get sorted. It's been a bit of a slow start. I've just got in and wanted to check in with our usual startup time, and it's going to be a bit of a defer session, I'm afraid. I was hoping to be a bit more on board because it is an occasion and I was looking for some wartime fare to acknowledge the Anzac Day today. But I should mention that Mr. AML, Chris, has put together a fantastic program last night on Anzac Day. There's some really extraordinary source material he got from the British Library Archives and also from his own collection. It's really quite well thought out and beautifully presented. So I think I'll refer that to people who are interested in this topic. I'll put on a couple of episodes shortly of war correspondence, so we'll head in that direction. I just pulled a couple of these episodes off the shelf, so yeah, we'll follow on with that. And also, I just managed to find a couple of recordings from World War I vintage records that sort of capture the spirit of the time. And so recordings sung by Stanley Kirkby, who was a English baritone from that time. Popular songs from the looking towards the, well, I suppose you could say it's drumming up the interest in the in enlisting people. First one, interesting. The first one I've already put on is what's the name of the track? It says "Tell My Daddy to Come Home Again." It's the name of the record. It's on a Regal disc from about 1915, 1916, so it goes way back, but it does say something about the tradition. VK3SL testing.
The soldier told his baby son the tale of a war and a big siege gun, and how his comrades had fought and died, and the baby listened and softly sighed. Daddy, will you have to go back soon? And the soldier went back afternoon, and the wee boy said in a voice so sweet to a soldier one day whom he happened to tell my daddy to come home again, please, Mr. Soldier Man. Tell my daddy to come home again as soon as ever he can. I can hear the pipe and drum, and I dream about the war, and I don't want to sleep no more until my daddy comes home. When I go to bye-bye, I can hear the pipe and drum, and I I dream about the war, and I don't want to sleep no more until my daddy comes home.
There you go, Wartime Reflections. Stanley Kirkby was the baritone on that recording. He was born in the 1870s, lived through to about 1950 odd, I think. Mr. Kirkby, yeah, he did a lot of ballad stuff during that pre-1920s era. Yeah, there's a few of his records here, and they all sort of wartime, First World War specific, and it reflects the sentiment and the feeling of the time and quite a sort of a range of different perspectives. Just through the popular music lens, and we've turned that record over. It's another, the same. The other side's got something stuck to it. This record, I was going to get that off. Here we go. It's a Wartime Wriggle, and the name of the track is "We're Really Proud of You." Again, Stanley Kirkby baritone with the orchestra. So yeah, it's acknowledging Anzac Day tradition today with a few originals on the platter. I'm not even using the noise reduction, straight through the system.
From the tinker to the tailor, from the lawyer to the clerk, our men are going up to take the shilling, and you won't see any loungers on the benches in the park, for the loungers are industriously drilling. Oh, Dick and Tom and Harry, we are proud of you indeed, for you heard the call of England, home and beauty. From the navvy to the nut, and you took the shortest cut to the lines where men are facing death for duty. So thank you for all that you are doing. We are really proud of you. For you'll be among the first when the shells begin to burst. We shall see the nuts and kernels too. You've thrown up everything to do your duty. We know you'll never rest until it's done. Your king and country need you, so we pray God bless and speed you. Oh, we think you're simply splendid, everyone. They've given up their luxuries for a bully in the trench. They're bigger men and better men and wiser, and they're gaily going off to study German under French, for they're bent on teaching English to the Kaiser. Oh, Dick and Tom and Harry, there's the girls you leave behind, and they find it very hard to do without you. But they know you'll beat the Hun, for when all is said and done, there is something irresistible about you. So thank you for all that you are doing. We are really proud of you. For you'll be among the first when the shells begin to burst. We shall see the nuts and kernels too. You've thrown up everything to do your duty. We know you'll never rest until it's done. Your king and country need you, so we pray God bless and speed you. Oh, we think you're simply splendid, everyone.
An Anzac Day special here from the Vaults. This is vk3sl testing on 160 and also on UHF, that's 438.725. Also, there's a streaming service which captures the event, and that can be found via YouTube. Just look up my call sign on YouTube, and there's a dedicated channel, especially for these missions. Alrighty, we're just sampling things here. I just spent 5 minutes exploring parts of the shells where I remembered there were a few wartime recordings which may be a little bit pertinent. Anyhow, that sort of cuts to the chase. That's definitely First World War vintage and subject matter that deals with the social implications. It's more. Here's another one. Won't You Join the Army is the name of the track. Again, Stanley Kirkby, Mr. Middle of the Range baritone, very balladish. But now listen to the words. It's sort of it does tell a story, and it shows it demonstrates the fervour and the drumming up of sentiment at the time. So if we have a listen to Won't You Join the Army, this is G6865, which means absolutely nothing. It's just me padding while I put the record onto the table, into the groove, and let's have a listen.
The fairies on of dancing in the moonlit glade and dell, they are busy putting mortals underneath their fairy spell. And the fairy boy who wanders o'er a world at work and play longs to put the boys of Britain neath his fairy spell today. Neath the spell of England's honour, one who's British born himself wants to hold you, for I've told you, Puck's a little English elf. He's going to fight for England, and he wants you, everyone, to join the little army that is out against the Hun. Won't you join the army? Won't you come with me? Won't you come with me, boys, to Berlin on the spree? Say goodbye to Kate on, and she'll be proud that you're a man. Won't you come? Won't you come and join? Won't you come and join with me? Of all the gallant deeds you've done, we've heard in fairyland. We know that ne'er a foe of all your valour could withstand. But now there's danger on the sea and danger on the shore that Britain in her island pride has never known before. The land that no invaders foot has trod since Harold's day is threatened by a foreign horde who helpless women slay. Then up for women bands and home ye men of British blood, who pluck the German eagle's crest and damn the German flood. Won't you join the army? Won't you come with me? Won't you rally round the flag across the northern sea? Say goodbye to Kate on, and she'll be proud that you're a man. Won't you come? Won't you come and join? Won't you come and join with me? Won't you join the army? Won't you come with me? Won't you rally round the flag across the northern sea? Say goodbye to Kate on, and she'll be proud that you're a man. Won't you come? Won't you join? Won't you come and join with me?
Rousing popular songs from the First World War vintage. Music to drum up enthusiasm amongst the masses, to join up. And we're playing the original recordings, original discs on air from the shelf here. This is vk3sl. We're testing on 160 meters and on UHF, streaming online, all of that. And this is just a potpourri, an Anzac Day reflection. We'll find some more, go through them because they are interesting to listen to and they are very pertinent. Today's the day to play these records, and Mr. Kirkby has excellent elocution. He's got excellent diction. So they sort of cut through well despite being acoustic and despite being unprocessed in any way. They are raw to air, these records on a C turntable. Well, the other side of that disc we just heard is called Somebody's Boy. Well, let's have a listen and find out what's happening to this imagined character.
A little cottage with the lights aglow. The door is open there. A grey-haired couple in the firelight glow gaze at a vacant chair. Their thoughts are far away across the home. There's something missing from the home, sweet home. Somebody's boy is out at the front. Somebody's boy is bearing the brunt. Somebody's heart is aching, almost breaking. Somebody's eyes are filling with tears, gazing across the foam. Somebody's boy will bring somebody joy when somebody's boy comes home. The postman pauses at the old folks' door. A letter he leaves there. Dear mother mine, it reads a fighting's o'er. Upon heart breathes its prayer. Thank God our darling boy is safely through. May someone else's boy return safe too. Somebody's boy is out at the front. Somebody's boy is bearing the brunt. Somebody's heart is aching, almost breaking. Somebody's eyes are filling with tears, gazing across the moor. Somebody's boy will bring somebody joy when somebody's boy comes home.
Stanley Kirkby from about 1916 and a track called Somebody's Boy. These are early Regal records made by Columbia in the years between 1914 and, well, I'd say probably about between 14 and 17, because the later part of the war they didn't make many records of this kind. Go figure. Yeah, well, we'll continue. There's more, and look, if you can tune into the words, it really sort of captures the fervour of the time and puts the First World War into some sort of, or aspects of the social history into context, and it's amazing holding these discs and knowing that they go back that far. This one is Stanley Kirkby again. It seemed to be all of him, this particular collection. And it's a track called Boys in Khaki, Boys in Blue. So I think we'll put this one on, slap it on the platter, needle in the groove, whoops. And this is vk3sl testing.
The song of Rule Britannia, sing in praise of Britain's boys. Jolly Jack the sailor with his breezy style, Mr. Tommy Atkins of the rank and the file, they're two lads we can depend on when danger comes our way. For their fathers all were fighters, and what's bred in the bone is sure to come out someday. Boys in khaki, boys in blue, here's the best of jolly good luck to you. You're all right in love or war, you'll get there again just the same as you've done before. Boys in khaki, boys in blue, it's no idle boast or brag. When we get you both together, there's going to be dirty weather for anyone who tramples on the flag. Sing the song of Rule Britannia, now they're fighting what to do. Ever staunch and ready when the hour is nigh, British boys know how to fight and how to die. Lads, we know you'll do your duty, whatever fate may bring. You've got the pluck and muscle, so make your battle cry for empire, for home and king. Boys in khaki, boys in blue, here's the best of jolly good luck to you. You're all right in love or war, you'll get there again just the same as you've done before. Boys in khaki, boys in blue, it's no idle boast or brag. When we get you both together, there's going to be dirty weather for anyone who tramples on the flag.
Rousing popular songs from the First World War from original source material here, vk3sl. We're just testing and, of course, playing these recordings, modulated sound for test purposes, but with a prominent theme because it is Anzac Day 2001. Gosh, well over 100 years ago the First World War finished. Well, I think we'll see what's on the other side of that, because they really do tell a story. I'm feeling something quite sort of involving hearing these. Here we go. Your king and your country need you. Now this is a different artist here. That was Stanley Kirkby, and we have now Harrison Latimer, baritone. I wonder if it's a pseudonym or if Mr. Latimer was a real person. I'll look him up. Anyhow, it's the name of the song, Your King and Country Need You. I'm vk3sl testing.
We are proud of our little country. We are proud of our lads in blue. We are proud of our mighty empire and our lads in khaki too. Oh, when England seems in danger, they answer one and all. Your king and country need you, is the British nation whole. There's a call for men who will guard on England's gate, the land of peace and freedom, while our sailors show that Britannia rules the waves. There'll be lots of coming handy if we need them. When the bulldog barks and the lion begins to roar, in justice God will feed you. So cheer, boys, cheer, and bravely volunteer. your king and country need you. We know when our naval watchdogs are out for a big sea fight, we know how the British gunners make the weapons bark and bite. And we pray for our vanquished old men who give their lives so dear. But when England is in danger, not a Briton has a fear. There's a call for men who will guard old England's gate, the land of peace and freedom. While our sailors show that Britannia rules the waves, there'll be lots of Tommies handy if we need them. When the bulldog barks and the lion begins to roar, in justice God will feed you. So cheer, boys, cheer, and bravely volunteer. Your king and country need you.
Yes, when I look up Harrison Latimer, I just get Mr. Latimer, the software engineer, or Dr. Harrison, the orthopedic surgeon. I don't find anything about Latimer, the baritone from the First World War era. I'm sure there's a bigger story there. It sounds like a strong voice. It's possibly a pseudonym. Maybe he made lots of records. We'll find out. It's work in progress there. But we are sampling these extraordinary early recordings from First World War and putting them straight to air as my personal homage to the artists and the countless people who were involved in such a monumental affair. So look, we'll continue now. There's more. There is more. We'll put this one onto the pile and have a look. And we have a Beaker Grand record from the First World War, and it says, here we go, "Be a man, enlist today." Mr. Robert English. Oh, it sounds very, very British. Well, let's hear what it means to be a man. vk3sl, not feeling particularly manly today.
Once more our mother is calling, once more she's facing the fall, once more her sons can now answer, bravely to help her they call. Now that old England's in danger, loud goes the cry o'er the foam. Mother, your sons will stand beside you, fight for old England and home. No failure, do your duty, help your mother o'er the foam. Take your gun and stand beside her, don't be called a stay-at-home. These not words, my boy, are wanted, throw yourself into the fray. Now's the time to show your courage, be a man, enlist today. When you're at home by the fireside, reading the news of the war, telling of deeds full of glory, done in those regions afar. Shame you should sit there in comfort, knowing you should share the strife. Brother, your king and country need you. Strike for old England and life. No do your duty. Help your mother or the phone. Take your gun and stand beside her. Don't be cold, stay at home. These not words, my boy, are wanted. Throw yourself into the fray. Now's the time to show your courage. Be a man and live today.
Mr. Robert English singing in 1915 on a Becker Ground record, and he mentions Australia there. So yes, it's a rally to the cause, and it has a local relevance. A very well-worn record, so I expect someone's family felt the need to play that often, probably every Anzac Day from that time on. The other side is a recording again with Stanley Kirkby, and the name of this track is Till the Boys Come Home by Mr. Novello. I didn't realise Ivor Novello wrote that song. Alright, well, I'll have a listen to Stanley Kirkby once more. Till the Boys Come Home. I'm vk3sl. Testing on 160 and UHF.
We were summoned from the hillside, we were called in from the glen, and the country found us ready at the stirring call for men. Let no tears add to their hardship as the soldiers pass along. And although your heart is breaking, make it sing this cheery song. Keep the home fires burning while your hearts are yearning. Though your lads are far away, they dream of home. There's a silver lining through the dark clouds shining. Turn the dark cloud inside out, till the boys come home. Overseas there came a pleading, help a nation in distress, and we gave our glorious laddies on our bed of Zululand. On a gallant son of Britain, to a foreign yoke shall bend, and no Englishman is silent to the sacred call of friend. Keep the home fires burning while your hearts are yearning. Though your lads are far away, they dream of home. There's a silver lining through the dark clouds shining. Turn the dark cloud inside us, till the boys come home.
Stanley Kirkby on a Beaker Grand record, and very good evening to you too. Hello there.
AX3 vk3sl from AX3OP, because we
Thank
can
you.
today.
Absolutely. That's absolutely right. I should have been using the AX prefix. We can do that today. Yeah. I was actually going to I wanted to try and participate on the, there was a vintage radio net on 80 metres and also on 40 and 80 and other, I think also on 14.
Yeah, using the old modes too, wasn't it? So CW predominantly and AM and
Yes.
the like, yes.
Yes, well, see, I'd be pretty useless at CW. I'm too slow, but I did have...
Mine's like banging coconuts together, I think.
Yeah, I can understand. But I've got this old wireless set 122 here, which works very nicely, and I was thinking of see if I could make some contacts on that today. And also an MTR1, the Pi military thing, and I was thinking of having them set up here, but it wasn't possible. Too many things happening in this household.
That's the nature of it.
Yeah.
So, I was there, so it was very pleasant. I mean, it was beautiful weather, thankfully. And,
fabulous day.
Very different, very sort of shortened march and proceedings and crowd limited, but still was, it was good.
Yeah. Oh, look, that's great. Look, it's a very strong sense of occasion. There's a fervour there, and it's a special place to be. Every year, my son's marched in it he's in a marching band, and that's been. They're
great because this year they did the one pass, whereas normally they come up and then they go back down to the start and pick up the next, and they do laps.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just love following the march, just watching it. And it's beautiful. Just the whole sort of way it's orchestrated, and it sort of heralds a long-standing tradition. But I did miss that this year, and but look, at the same time they obviously found a way forward with all the restrictions, and it would have been great to be involved, Frank. So were you sort of in the camera department? Or?
Yeah, I was standing at the balcony, on top of the balcony at the shrine. So
oh, wow.
Position up there, so great view. And I'll send you through a shot of the city skyline. It's
please do. Please do.
I'd
love to.
It was interesting.
Yeah, I'd love to see. Oh, that'd be amazing. Wow, I've noticed those platforms, and I've seen the cameraman there, and I've probably seen you there in the past, not knowing you.
Yes, for a lot of years I was up there, and then many years before we put the... there's now like a remote controlled jib arm crane that operates down further where the other cameras are for the actual march part. Prior to that jib camera, there was a cherry picker there.
Oh, okay.
And I used to sit up in that cherry picker.
Did you really? Okay. Oh, that's amazing. Oh, it's good to hear. Yeah, and when the weather's good, everything sort of comes alive, doesn't it? And when the weather's not so good, I suppose it's more authentic in a different way.
I thought you'd retired, Frank.
Ah, Mr. Stew there. Did you hear that?
Hello. I have, but they keep calling me up and making me offers I can't understand. So I go back and do a little bit for them, and they contacted me about today and said, "Are you available?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, why not?"
Well, different to me. They just sent me a letter saying it's F off, basically.
Oh, Mr. Stew, you were still involved though. You were still doing a lot of stuff after you sort of officially, sort of moved.
Oh yeah, but a couple of years ago, 2017, I think they don't like people over 65, and they send you a letter saying, "Here's your super contributions. Don't call us. We won't call you."
Oh dear.
Although it's interesting because the super actually allows for in its calcs on the online calcs through to age 70, so. There's no reason why it's 65 anymore, but
wow, that's right.
Would have been a bit departmentally dependent, I think.
Yeah, I don't really care less anyhow. Look, I listened to Mr. Long last night. It was actually a very good show.
It's one of the best I've ever heard from Chris. I listened to it while watching the kids play football this afternoon.
And he had 10 listeners on his stream.
Yeah, it was outstanding. And so hats off to you, Chris, if you're listening. Really, really amazing. And he's used all those new resources which have just become into the public domain from the National Library and in Britain. So that's exciting.
I kind of hope that National Library resource, that they keep developing that, and it becomes a little bit like the National Library of Congress in the States.
Yeah.
Not that we have access to it, but from what I've read, that is a tremendous resource and library.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the good thing is that there is a trend for these collections to becoming public and accessible, and people can sort of interact with them. So, and of course, it's the way personalities interact to add value add and to provide context. But no, it was a particularly good program last night, and I thought that was I'm going to download it. So, but look, a lot of actuality stuff. I've got a small collection of First World War. I pretty much played it all just then. There's a lot of sort of popular, crowd-raising stuff, but the stuff that's a bit more serious and poignant is certainly worth playing today, I think. So,
yeah, and of course in those times, if you have any dissenting arguments, they just weren't heard.
Yeah.
At least today, I mean, they kick any. They've all been deplatformed from YouTube and everything.
That's
but
right.
Other platforms are coming up because they're accepting alternative views.
Yep.
And it'll probably be the demise of YouTube because they can't be a censor, but not be a publisher and be a censor. What are they? Are they just a technological conduit, or are they a censor and a publisher? They can't be all.
Well, complex arguments for our times, and we live in a time where there's never been more information, and I think on the whole we're far more accessed. We have much better access.
Well, the whole information thing, was it 2015 or 16?
Sorry, but I've got a noisy failure. I was going to notch it up a bit. Yeah, go on.
Talking about that information aspect, was it 2015 or 16? That was the first year where, in that year, humanity produced more data than in all of history up to and including the previous year.
Yeah, it's
extraordinary.
It's been exponential ever since. Yeah, I think in 1916, if you had a contrary view that maybe it wasn't a good idea to send all your young people over to be slaughtered, maybe we should have a think about it, you would just be put in jail and shot.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, they highlighted it today. That they talked about that it was a bit of a historical look at it, and I can't remember the exact numbers, but they're of this order. At the time of outbreak of World War I, Victoria's population was of the order of about 1.3 million, and the number of young Australian men that enlisted to go in the Australian Expeditionary Force World War I was over 300,000 or 380,000 enlisted. When you consider the population levels, it was something like 43 or 48% of the eligible male age population enlisted and went.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the thing is, in those days, you could either be a farm worker or work in a factory, or you could have an exciting time going overseas, and it just looked better. Whereas now people can sit and play on their phones. Is much more fun than sitting in a trench, and they may be less likely. But I think in those days it looked like an out from the dreariness of a life of their forefathers.
Yeah, I think that's a really pertinent point, because we can't imagine how contained people's lives were, and the prospect of going overseas and listening to some of those talks. That fellow in Egypt, Chris played a recording last night of that chap in Egypt before he went to the Gallipoli and got shot shortly after, and when they were doing their training, and he was so sort of optimistic and was heralding this new opportunity and being with his mates, and I mean it was so powerful when you think of what we all know happened very shortly after.
Yeah, but I mean, they would have been, from a dreary farm labourer, they were doing something really, they thought it was just, really important, and they were enjoying it, and they were just with their mates, as you say, until the veil was released. Absolutely. And the horror came in.
Yeah.
But we've got photographs here from Anne's grandfather, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
We've got boxes of little contact prints of Egypt and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
Of when he went over there in the First World War. And I think he got gassed and was never properly okay since after that. But yeah, it was just a great excitement. You can imagine a free trip overseas to do all this sort of stuff and see the world. And you think, well, I might 10% chance to get shot, but that's better than being stuck in Menangatang on the farm for another 50 years. It'd be fantastic. Yeah.
Absolutely. How is that recording of Fred Geisberg? Actuality is probably the only recording of bombs going off in the First World War.
It was just like a football game.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was just that is amazing.
Yeah. Well, there was the dogfight, of course, which really was like a football game, and there was that one with Fred Geisberg, but he got gassed there, and he died shortly after, and he was the big A&R man for the gramophone company.
Oh, right.
And did all of those. He was responsible for really bringing the gramophone into all manner of sort of outward communities and other countries, and he did all the overseas trips, but he met his demise on that recording. You listen to it and you think, well, he got gassed there and he came home and died of the Spanish flu shortly
that's
after.
the First World War one. I was thinking of the...
the Second World War. It's like the... Well, I've got this lined up. I think in years past we've had missions on this day or nearby, and we've played that recording of the Lancaster bombers.
Oh, yes, that's good.
Which is...
Now, that would have been good last night.
Yeah, it would have been. Well, I think I might follow on shortly with that. We've got visitors turning up in about 20 minutes. So I'm going to have to cut short as much as I'd like to keep going. But I'll put that on, and then I can get away with just popping in here periodically and turning the record over. But I will play that recording of the Lancaster bombers. Now, Frank, you may have heard this, but it is quite extraordinary. It's the bombing was probably Berlin and Dresden. And,
yeah, wow.
And we've got... Someone took a disc cutter.
Is that the same stuff that they play at the Australian War Memorial? Because they have a mock-up of a Lancaster in there now, and they do a sound and light show with audio recordings. I'm wondering if they use some of that for it.
Okay, well, look, I don't know. Maybe it is.
It's worth, if you're ever in Canberra again, it's worth going to see. It's quite...
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's quite, it's one of those things that makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up. And
yeah, sure. Absolutely. Well, I'm not sure. Maybe it is. It's incredibly powerful material. It's just... again, it's like they're so nonchalant, they're so disconnected, and they're just in the moment, and they're...
Yeah, it just becomes a technical exercise,
well, it
marks,
does.
line up, sighting,
Yeah.
release, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah,
it's all that
but the plane gets holed, and
they get shot to pieces,
Yeah.
those guys. Well, they're saying it was, 1 in 4 of every raid didn't come back?
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. It was a miracle if you survived the war. But these recordings really tell a story. But just the fact that these guys were so cool under the worst circumstances imaginable. I mean, they were being shot at in the foreign country doing a bombing raid.
No, the ACAC, that they just, any of those major European centres were surrounded by a ring of that stuff. That,
Yeah.
You were flying through almost like a sea of shrapnel.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and the quality is so good.
Mm.
When you listen to it, you think, it's a studio mock-up.
Yep.
But I've researched it, and there's interviews with a guy who went up there to record it,
Mm.
and the person who dubbed it in the BBC.
Mm.
It's a legit recording in the air.
It is.
And the quality, like those wartime stuff with the terrible intercom things used to buy at Waltham's, they didn't sound too bad. It's absolutely amazing.
Absolutely. And I think the enclosed mics, you don't get too much plane noise, so you get the sort of the more intimate aspects of the dialogue. But it's just so, they're so cool, and they're dealing with something which is beyond catastrophic. I mean, it's impossible to imagine what it would have been like. But I suppose they'd just done it time in, time out, and if their mark was up, well, it's, you just resign yourself to the
even
inevitable.
That too, it's like that when you, and I don't know that there's recorded audio at the time, but there's been a few documentaries I've watched and interviews with the pilot and the crew thereafter of the Enola Gay.
Oh, yeah.
With their run on and the
God.
first A-bomb drop, and then when they looked back at what they'd done, the chill that I think they realised of what they'd unleashed. Because up until that point, I don't think any of them really realised what they were about to do.
Yeah, totally. I know. Incredible. Yeah, look, fellas, I'd love to continue. Unfortunately, I'm sort of have to resign myself to a social engagement. But I'll put this recording on, and then I'll follow on if I can. I'll just zip in and put on a couple of war correspondence or something to fill in the rest of the time. But thank you, and we'll have a listen to the Avro Lancasters and the crew radio dialogue. There's about 10 minutes of it, and it has just got to be heard to be believed. But as Dave said, it is completely authentic. Thanks, fellas. All the best.
Cheers. AX3OP.
Yep, AX. Yes, the 3SL. I'm not used to saying that. Let's have a listen.
Okay, bomb's gone.
Okay.
Was that bomb's gone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Bomb doors closed.
Well, I can read my watch in the searchlight. That's 21:54.
Flag coming down for close.
Heading 100.
21:54. Go to the slot as best we can.
Okay. Speed's the answer now.
The idea is to steer about 020.
Put 020 on, hello? 020, okay.
Flight directly beneath us.
Right.
And searchlights underneath us too.
Come on, T for Tommy, get tracking.
Watch your height.
I'm watching everything.
Okay.
How many searchlights would you call them?
Too many, I reckon.
Couple of thousand. Yeah, they're searching for us. You bastards. Oh, hell. Certainly illuminates things, doesn't it? Sure does. Still the pint. Keep your eyes peeled. Yeah. They're firing at us now.
Are they?
Yeah. Okay. Flag closed.
Well, it's coming close. I can feel it.
Yes, I can see it. Round to port of it, it's heading, Skipper. Okay. If we press on a bit this way, we might get out. Yeah.
My God.
You light your fag on any of those?
No.
That was a bit close.
I think we've been hit personally.
Yeah, lose a bit of height. Skipper.
Yeah.
That was close.
Yes.
Searchlight looking for us now.
Okay, I'm pressing on, more or less on course.
Righty-ho. It's gone out now. Well, we better press on north until we're clear of this issue.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Hello, Skipper.
Hello?
We've been holding the front here.
Okay.
The oil's leaking out of the front turret, so there's nothing to worry about.
Okay. Okay, boy. Donkey, could you glance over the temperatures on the engines?
Could I what?
Glance over the temperatures. Look, Donkey, I've been weaving on your course. I shall be heading a little to the east.
Okay, I'll give you a course to steer if you reckon you'll go through it.
Yeah, it's...
Okay, right.
Only there's a few searchlights ahead, about 100.
Yeah. My God, I've never seen anything like this before.
Neither have I. 4,000 pounds have just gone up. Yeah, it's good show.
That's not bad at all.
Yes, it's not a bad prank.
Right, we're on now.
Okay.
Well, there's a target straight ahead, Skip.
Okay, now we're over the lake now.
Okay,
Just
now.
coming up.
Okay.
What was the heading again?
146.
Okay, on 146.
Okay.
And the airspeed?
170.
Yes,
Height
got it.
48
Hang on.
star.
Okay.
10 seconds. 2 minutes, 10 seconds. Following. Okay, 2 minutes, 10 seconds. 20 seconds. You can weave a bit, Skip.
Okay, Valhalla.
30 seconds. There the flares and just to the left.
Okay.
Okay, you can keep weaving for a while. 40 seconds.
Check the position of the clouds by your time round.
Yes, I can see them ground detail in the flash of the flash. 60 seconds. One minute. Keep on weaving, Skipper.
10 seconds. 1 minute to go now. 5. Right, I want the last minute correct.
Yeah.
I'll fly steady
Get
now.
out steady, nice straight and level.
Bomb doors open.
Bomb doors open.
Give a little bit of extra time if anything.
15. Left, left.
20.
Steady. Steady.
25.
Steady. Bombs away.
30.
There goes the cookie.
Lucky.
Oh, we got lucky going over there. And there go the incendiaries. There goes my bottle.
Take Jettison action.
Jettison action now.
Okay, I think they're firing it up.
Yeah.
Bomb doors closed.
Bomb doors closed.
Right there. New course now, Robert.
New course. Look at those fires, boy. Oh, what 185.
Okay, turning on, 185.
There's a lank up on your starboard beam.
I see him, yes.
It's turning down, see?
Yes, I can see him. Starboard power now.
Yes, it's right ahead.
Okay.
Crossed over.
Give me that course again, Bernard. One, what was it?
185.
185, okay. That was a direct hit over the target for the look of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Keep guys, they're all turning up this way.
Okay.
There's a light coming up on your starboard beam and this up. Yeah, it's turned off. One up on that, moving off.
Okay.
Light up on the port beam.
Yes, I can see him, I got it.
There's a bloke still on our starboard beam, just down a bit.
I see him. Right, now keep your eyes in for fighters, Jonas. They're obviously milling around the target here like flies.
Okay, Skip. 3500 off starboard wing, Skip.
Okay.
Hello, Skipper. Hello, Navigator. Half a minute to go. Okay, thanks very much.
Okay, keep weaving, Ken. There's quite a lot of nice stuff coming up as well, falling off a bit low.
Hello, engineer. Skipper here. Yeah? Will you put the revs up, please? Yeah?
Okay, keep weaving.
A lot of searchlights and fighter flares, Skipper.
Yeah, keep on.
Okay, boys, okay.
Left. You can... Bomb doors open.
Hello, Bombardier. Okay when you are.
Bomb doors open.
Bomb doors open, Bombardier.
Right. Steady. Bomb's going in a minute. Bomb.
Hey, Jimmy, trade to behind us, boy.
Bomb steady, man.
Hang up, Jimmy. Hold on. Where is he, rear gunner? Can you see him? Down! He's shot down! Down. Did you shoot him down? Yeah. He's got him, boy. Right in the middle. Bloody good. Bloody good.
Keep weaving. There's some black coming at me.
Okay, don't shout all at once.
Alright. Photograph taken.
Okay, photograph taken. Hello, Skipper. Will you turn on to 081? Right, 081, Navigator. Don't all speak at once now. Keep quiet. It's okay.
Okay, go.
Hello, mid-gunner. Did you recognize that fighter you shot off?
No, I didn't recognize it, but it's definitely going down now.
Good, Jimmy. I can see him, boy. Good show. I can see him now. Yeah, look at him burning. Doesn't he look lovely? Good show, lads. Now keep your eyes open.
Okay, Ken.
Extraordinary stuff. That's from the Ever Lancasters in the Second World War bombing raids over Berlin and possibly Dresden. It's just unbelievable. What did he say? 400 pounder gone off. Good show. Well, that 400 pounder may have vaporised hundreds of civilians down below. Extraordinary. Amazing. Keep weaving. All right, folks, I've got to go, but I've got a lined-up episode of War Correspondent. I've got several of these Australian publicity recordings from the Australian Army here in the collection, so we'll put one to air now and follow on with this for the next little while. Thanks for your indulgence, and we'll have a listen to one of the valiant stories from World War I think this one is. Anyhow, we'll find out. vk3sl or AX3sl. Cheers for now.
The Directorate of Public Relations of the Australian Army presents War Correspondent. Your name is Mike McCann. You're a war correspondent. For the people of this atomic time who know that peace belongs only to the prepared, you tell these stories of the Australian Army on active service. Your name is Mike McCann, war correspondent.
I'm Mike McCann. Overlooking the wide waters of Port Phillip Bay in Victoria is an army building that's widely patronized by soldiers from the military installations in that area. It's a modern canteen, a fine building with a wide, free view. And these days, it resounds to the laughter of soldiers and their friends in relaxation. Lionel Colin Matthews, a South Australian, would have enjoyed seeing them there in the building that bears his name, for he loved freedom more than he loved life, and he gave his life in proof of that love. Now his memorial is in that fine soldiers' club on the heights above Port Phillip Bay. It's the Matthews Club, named after Captain Lionel Colin Matthews, who won both the George Cross and the Military Cross. And the story of how he won these decorations is an inspiration, a story that will live forever in the hearts of men who knew him.
Look at those 25-pounders. They're pushing into position across near the rubber, Sid. They belong to the 2nd 15th.
Just keep your mind on this sig while we're laying, Willie, me boy. When the Japs come marching unsuspectingly down that road through Gemmis, we don't want the ambush to be a washout because the signalling fell down.
She won't be a washout. It's too well planned. They told me General Gordon Bennett's been down to look at the ambush position.
Who told you that? The Japs?
Oh, that wit. The 2nd 30th jokers told me, of course. Hey, did I tell you what the battalion jokers told me about the signalling wire?
Yeah, I'll bite.
Well, they were laying their signalling wire from the battalion ambush position, see? And they run out of wire. So they see an Indian signals truck going back along the road towards Johor. So they take the length they needed.
Oh, very taking ways, these infantry boys.
Oh, wait on. The Indian sergeant says, "Who shall I say took the wire?" And a voice behind says, "Colonel Ned Kelly of Australia." Who do you think it was?
Colonel Ned Kelly of Australia.
No. It was the battalion CO, Colonel Callahan. Hey, get on with the job. Here comes Captain Matthews.
Oh, he's all right. Extra good joker.
How are you making out, lads?
Just about finished, Captain. The Japs sighted yet?
Well, the 3rd Indian Corps have withdrawn through us. Nothing between us and the Japs now, except open roads.
Reckon the Japs will walk into the ambush soon?
Don't see why not. It's been well planned. Our infantry are concealed, our guns waiting there to open up on the Gemminchin Bridge as soon as the Japs cross it. Don't see why it shouldn't be a Bobby Dazzler. Better be. First time the IIF has met the Japs in Malaya, we want to give them something to remember us by. I better get on with my inspection. Keep your eyes open now. They might have visitors any time now.
He's a good bloke, that Matthews. Wonder how he'll be under fire.
No need to worry about him. It's ourselves we've got to worry about. Come on. You heard what he said. They might be along any time now.
All right.
We've got to get under cover.
Okay. Gone quiet all of a sudden, hasn't it?
Yeah, be quiet, Willie. We've got to surprise the Japs, not give them a mere welcome. Quiet now.
Hey, look. Look, you see that?
Yeah, of course I do. Yeah, it's Japs, all right.
Looks like they're going to a picnic.
They are. A real picnic. Oh, look at them. Must be hundreds. Hope our signalling equipment's working okay. Hey, look. Look up the road. Here they come. Hundreds of them on bikes. Rifles strapped on their backs. Coming onto the bridge now.
Yeah.
Oh, a lot of them are over it.
There goes the bridge!
Oh, and the second 30 jokers are into them. Piling them over like flies.
Japs everywhere and that cunning.
Yeah, but still the Japs are pouring down the road. There must have been a whole army of them advancing this way. Be a bit smaller now. Oh, but they're still coming.
And going down like flies.
Well, she's on for young and old. We better check the lines. Come on.
Right.
Can't have the signals failing at this stage of the game. Hear that, Willie? Hear that?
I've been hearing that firing ever since the Japs counterattacked after they got cut about in the ambush.
That's not firing I'm hearing now, Dope. It's tanks.
Tanks?
Yeah, Jap tanks. Now she's on with a vengeance. See what I mean? Everything now. Tank guns, mortars, machine guns. Hey, look! Across there where those shells are falling. Hey, isn't that...
It's Captain Matthews.
It certainly is. He'll go down for sure playing about out there.
Playing about? He's not playing about. Some of our wire must have been blown apart. Hey, look, he's mending a line. How's that for a show?
Oh, he'll do me for a rough old captain. Look at him working. Cool as a Melbourne morning. Come on, let's get on with our job. If it's good enough for him, it's good enough for us.
Of Captain Matthews, the citation for the Military Cross, describing his activity during that fierce and historic action at Gemas, Malaya, says he succeeded in maintaining cable communications between his brigade headquarters and units under heavy fire, displaying a high standard of courage. But the Japanese recovered ground after Gemas, and they pushed on, and finally they landed on Singapore Island. There, the Australians were locked in a desperate struggle for the fortress city.
Hey, what was that, Sid?
The Chinese New Year. Crackers.
You're joking, Sid.
Fine time to joke, isn't it? With the Japs spreading all over Singapore Island like a rash. Come on, let's check the sig wire.
Hey, that's heavy fighting across there.
Yeah. Well, the Japs are throwing all their weight on the 2nd 30th Battalion. Probably trying to pay them back for the thrashing they gave the Japs at Gemas.
You really think so? Certainly sounds like they are.
No time to think, Willie. We've got to get this line laid back to where the battalion's going to try a counterattack. Across this way, mate.
Hey, we're heading away from the fighting, Sid.
They told us to follow the pipeline for a while, then we reached the rendezvous. We're going the right way.
Nice and quiet, isn't it?
Yeah, don't jinx us. As soon as you said it was nice and quiet, that Jap fighter came at us.
Well, they couldn't have heard me. Anyway, it's nice and quiet along here. Rubber trees lined up. It's like walking through a dark cathedral.
Yeah, except you don't find Japs waiting behind the cloisters to kill you. Who's that up ahead?
It's Captain Matthews. Here we are, sir. Hey, come on, Sid. The captain will know the score.
How are things, sir?
To answer your question, Sid, they get under cover.
The Japs are everywhere, sir.
That seems to be the case. But we've got to get this SIG cable down to our attack rendezvous. Can't get a few Jap bullet stoppers. You heard that the Jap bullets don't even penetrate the skin.
That was last week's funny story, sir. They seem to go a bit deeper at Gemas.
Anyway, it's a reassuring story. Come on, let's get our job done.
You think the Japs were only firing pop guns for all the attention Captain Matthews pays to them?
Yeah, someone coming through that jungle stuff along there. Pass the word.
Oh, it's all right, Sid. It's Australians.
Yeah, could be anybody. Look at them, covered with muck and mud and blood. Yeah, they're Australians.
2nd 26th Battalion they are, Sid. Hey, I know a few of them. Hey, have they been in strife?
You jokers look as though you've run into something, Sarge.
You can say that again. Chaps ambushed us up along the pipeline. Cut us about like nobody's business. About 70 of us managed to get out. They are wounded.
Yeah, I can see them.
What are you fellas doing?
We're with Captain Matthews from Brigade, laying a cable to the rendezvous for the attack.
I reckon we can forget about that attack rendezvous. I'll tell you, that signal cable's going to come in useful. We'll be able to tell headquarters how we got chopped about by those Japs. We never knew the Japs were there. Might be able to get some help in bringing out our wounded, too. Looks like the Japs have been on our hammer.
No, they've been under fire from time to time. Oh, there's Captain Matthews across there.
Across there? That's where those Japs are firing.
Yeah, that's Captain Matthews. He doesn't pay much attention to Japanese firing.
That I can see. Well, just as well you fellas got that cable down. Even though we can't attack, we'll probably be able to warn others from falling into the same trap that we did. We should be able to get aid for these wounded fellas, too. They've had it hard enough already. I'll get across and see you, Captain Matthews, if he ever gets back out of there alive.
And of Captain Matthews' heroism in the closing days of Singapore, the citation for his military cross described how he succeeded in laying cable over ground strongly patrolled by the enemy, restoring communications into brigade headquarters during a critical period. But his heroism was of little avail as the Japanese swept onward and finally overwhelmed the island.
Gone quiet all of a sudden, Sid. What do you reckon?
Packed in, that's what I reckon.
There's nothing else we could do. No fighters to stop them in the air. Nothing.
No. Looks like she'll be all over by the shouting. What do you say, Captain Matthews?
Looks like it's over for the time being, men.
Prisoners of war, I say.
Locked up useless while the war goes on.
Locked up may be, but don't be too certain about being useless.
What do you mean, sir?
A prisoner is a soldier deprived of his rifle. Doesn't mean he has to stop fighting. Doesn't mean he has to stop fighting, men.
This is AX3SL testing on 160 and on UHF. I'll just turn the record over.
Quite amazing.
Yes, absolutely amazing. It's incredible material. It's and there's a lot of it. There's a whole archive of sort of captured dialogue between operations people on the ground during the Second World War. Yeah, we'll feature that again, I think. I'll have to bookmark that one, Frank.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the look, just the whole sort of it really, you get a sense of how these people, how they operated, how they had to manage really complex environments and kept their cool.
Stress too.
Yeah, it's inconceivable. I find that I've listened to it many times, and I just always feel just overwhelmed with the way they managed it. Yeah, well, look, I've got to go inside. There's a whole heap of people have just arrived, and I'll put the second half of this.
Enjoy your evening, AX3OP.
Yeah, thanks, Frank. That's all good, and I'll put this the second side of the current war correspondent episode, and then
I texted you through that image.
I just had a look at it, and it's great, beautiful image, fantastic. Thank you for that. Excellent. All right. Well, we'll say cheerio for now, and we'll just wind up with the second half of this War Correspondent episode. AX3SL.
Like many others taken prisoner, Captain Matthews was determined to fight on. And so, after a large party of Allied prisoners of war arrived in Borneo, Captain Matthews schemed to gain a place on outside working parties that would bring him in contact with the civilian population. It was September 1942 when he was putting plans he had formed into operation.
Sid, can you see the guard?
Which one, sir? I can see that big Sikh guard walking down past the petrol dump like Big King Muck.
No, it's the Jap guard I'm worried about.
He's busy, Captain Matthews. He's busy building some of our jokers across there by the lorries. Anybody'd think he was getting a bonus for shifting this dump of petrol cans in record time.
Can you keep your eye on that Jap guard from here?
Sure, Captain. And Willie can keep an eye on the Jap in the truck. Can't you, Willie?
Too right I can, Captain Matthews. What do you plan to do?
Mind your own business, Willie.
It's all right. I want to get close by that native guard down there. See? That former British North Borneo constable. I don't want the Jap to see me make contact. Start whistling if you see that he's onto me.
Shoot the Jake, sir. You go ahead.
What do you reckon he's going to do, Sid?
Oh, look, Willie. Make out like you're still working and don't waste time asking silly questions. Captain Matthews knows what he's doing. Now keep your eye on that Jap driver. Oh, don't do it, obviously.
Well, the driver's busy giving orders.
Good. Captain Matthews is alongside that North Borneo constable.
I don't know why you call them by their old name. They were British North Borneo Constabulary, but now they're Jap guards. They're working for the Japs, guarding us.
Well, they've got to eat. Doesn't mean they like the Japs. Captain Matthews is still talking.
Already heard. He's breaking it off, coming back.
Thanks, fellas. Jap was onto me?
He was, sir. But he's turned away again. Did you do what you wanted to?
Yeah. Good fellows, those natives. Still loyal to us. I've got a revolver hidden on me.
Yeah?
Wow.
Only risk now is getting it past the sentries when we get back to camp. Building up quite a supply of equipment now by courtesy of our native and Chinese friends. Maps, arms, ammunition and radio parts. Yes, coming along very nicely. How's it going, fellas?
She's working, Captain. Radio Sandakan receiving, but only just. Everything quiet outside?
Our sentries are posted. Picking up anything?
Yeah. It sounds like San Francisco. Yeah. There's a lot of static, but she's working well for a homemade set, built out of smuggled parts.
Be ready to drop into the hole if we get the signal.
Yes, sir.
Now listen.
This is Radio San Francisco, bringing you the latest on the war in the Pacific.
This is what we've been waiting for.
And now, to conclude this bulletin of news from the battlefronts of the Pacific, here is a report from our correspondent.
Here, shove that bamboo closer. Quick now, Jap coming. Yes, mate. All men rest.
You think that Jap saw anything, Captain?
No. He was one of the dumb ones. Okay, keep it out of sight. Now, I better get cracking. I've got to smuggle this news bulletin out of camp and down to the civilians in that civilian prison camp down in Bahala.
Same Chinese acting as couriers, sir?
Yes. We've been building reinforcements. Getting more people still loyal to the British Empire to come in with us. I'm still using the same constable, though, for contact with the governor and Dr. Taylor on Bahala. Good type he is. Risks his neck passing us food, money and medicine. To say nothing of radio parts.
Yeah, taking a bit of a risk yourself, sir, too.
Yeah, that's my job. For the civvies, it's something they take on, despite the risks. Takes guts.
You can say that again. For the blokes inside, as well as outside.
Yeah, for us soldiers, see it's something we're expected to do. Just carrying on the fight where we left off on Singapore Island.
Pass the word to Captain Matthews. That English-speaking Chinese bloke is walking this way.
Your Chinese contact, sir. Coming this way.
Cover us while we talk.
Right, sir.
Shift this here stake of bamboo, will he?
Give us a hand over there.
Captain Matthews?
Yes?
You have been appointed Commander of the North British Armed Constabulary, Captain?
That is correct. The governor's appointed me. We're organizing against the day when we can rise and attack the Japanese.
I have heard. It is common talk through Borneo that the underground army exists and you command. Perhaps that is risky because some natives may betray you.
Possibly. In these circumstances, we must take risks.
That is true. But we are keeping secret the places where we are hiding the weapons.
That's wise. Are the ammunition supplies building up?
Yes, but I have more important news. We have made contact with Tawi Tawi.
With the guerrilla forces on the Philippines?
We have established contact with the men over there who continue to fight the Japanese.
Ah, that's what I've been waiting to hear. Now we're really getting somewhere. We can organize escape parties. Can link up with those guerrillas so that when the day comes, we can all rise together and pay these Japanese back.
That day will come. Meanwhile, we must organize. And may I suggest that you be among the first to escape from Borneo so you can organize from the safety of the guerrilla camp?
No, I won't be in the escape parties. Too much for me to do here. Walk on. The warning.
Keep under cover still. It may be the guerrilla boat. But it is dark. Wait. Ah, yes. Now quickly go aboard. No sound, please. You have 3 Australian prisoners. We will see if we can arrange more for escape soon. Any news?
We have had a submarine from Australia. They require a report on camp conditions on Borneo. Is this possible?
Anything is possible to Captain Matthews. I will pass the inquiry to him.
He will not himself escape?
No. He has too much to do behind the barbed wire, he says.
He is in command there. We will return on a day we will advise you of. Now we must go, so the Japanese aircraft will not catch us at sea at daybreak. Until we meet again.
Is there any other news from Australia by submarine?
No more than that which I have now told you.
Well, that's all we can expect. And you say we now have all the up-to-date information on the Jap positions?
We have had reports from our friends all over the islands. It is in that document I have now given you.
Off you go, quick. That Jap suspect anything?
I don't think so, sir. Just seeing how this garden job's going. Everything okay?
Everything's just fine. Just fine. Our escape party's arriving safely across the straits. Our plans for the uprising are going well.
I'm worried, sir. I reckon the Japs know something's up. Well, look how tough they're getting. Cutting our rations. They're handing out bashings. All left, right and centre.
Let them hand it out. Their day's coming fast. It won't be long before we're fighting again.
Snap raid, sir. The Kempi Thai Jap military police. They're Gestapo. It must be something big. Hey, look at them coming in with rifles and bayonets. They're fair dinkum. What do you reckon it is, Captain?
I don't know, but I might guess.
Oh, what do you reckon, sir?
The Jap Gestapo stumbled onto our secret organization. Someone's talked.
Hey, that means...
Whatever it means, nobody else is going to talk. All right. Let's face this as another battle. If it's one we can't win, it's one we're not going to lose.
For Captain Matthews, it was another battle. A one-sided battle that Captain Matthews won. His underground organization was betrayed by a Confederate under torture. And the Kempeitai swept in on the prisoners and made many arrests. The citation for the George Cross, which was awarded to Captain Lionel Colin Matthews, MC, states, after his arrest by the Kempeitai, Captain Matthews showed courage of the highest order. He steadfastly refused to make admissions under brutal torture, beatings, and starvation, to implicate or endanger the lives of his associates. His conduct at all times was that of a very brave and courageous gentleman, and he worthily upheld the highest traditions of an Australian officer. He was executed by the Japanese at Kuching on the 2nd of March, 1944. And even at that time of his execution, he defied the Japanese.
War Correspondent, recorded by AWA, is presented for your entertainment by the Australian Army's Directorate of Public Relations.
This is vk3sl, and I'm not sure if that is the best way to wind up the missions today, so we'll finish with a word from the Post-War Reconstruction Bureau. Thank you for your indulgence and have a good week.
How do you do?
Pleased to meet you.
Won't you come in?
Oh, thanks.
I suppose you've come to the right house. I didn't expect anyone from a magazine.
Well, this is the way of it. We're running a feature this month on the home front woman, the average housewife who keeps the home going while the menfolk are away. She's the unsung heroine of the home front. We want to give her a break.
I see. And you want to feature me?
As being typical, yes. I think we've struck lucky, don't you, Jack?
Yes, Mr. Kerry.
Yes, you photograph very nicely, Mrs. Lamson. Have we your permission to go ahead and take pictures?
Oh, heavens. You mustn't photograph me like this. I've got an apron on and my hair's untidy.
All the better for our purpose. Now, we'll get a shot of you here arranging the flowers. Then we'll go to the kitchen and have you pottering around the stove. Then, what about one of you writing to your son in the Navy?
How did you know I had a son?
We found out all about you, Mrs. Lamson. I hope you don't mind.
No, I don't mind. Oh, but I wish you'd let me tidy myself. Goodness, whatever will my husband say?
Think of your husband at his work and your son on active service. Think of anything except me and the camera.
Shall I stand by this table?
That'll do. Just take the flowers out of the vase and rearrange them. There, that's the idea. Oh, Jack.
Yes, Mr. Kerry.
Just look at her hands.
Her hands, Mr. Kerry?
Beautiful. Beautiful. Now, let your hands rest on the flowers a moment. That's right. Her hands aren't young. They're work-worn and... steady, please, Mrs. Lamson.
Oh, how much longer?
Well, that'll do, thanks. Now, would you mind going into the kitchen now?
All right. This way.
What lovely hands she has.
They seem just ordinary hands to me, Mr. Kerry.
Did they? I'm sorry for you, Jack. Yes, very sorry. But of course, you haven't been in active service yet. You haven't been wounded and racked with fever and lain in the heat, praying for death, and felt a miracle.
A miracle, sir?
The miracle of two soft hands on your forehead, cooling and soothing you. Two soft hands, two very willing hands, ready to work hard and keep on working. And woman's hands, Jack. You can never forget them.
I suppose not, Mr. Kerry.
I'm afraid I won't have much of a picture to take back to the magazine. Just a woman's hands, resting from work, resting among the flowers she's plucked from her suburban garden. A woman on the home front, and her willing hand.
The women of Australia have risen nobly to the crisis of war. Nearly 200,000 of them are directly concerned with war work of some sort, and there are many thousands more who, like Mrs. Lamson, are simple, ordinary women, struggling to do a good job in difficult times, keeping the lights of home burning brightly. But no matter what a woman's job is today, she can make a contribution to the future by giving intelligent support to the nation's post-war reconstruction plans. Plans for better housing, for healthier children, for bigger schools and improved working conditions for girls. These are plans which can only be dealt with on a national basis. The only possible authority capable of putting such plans into effect is the National Parliament.
I've driven your trams, I've delivered your letter, I've mended your boots. I was a labourer, message boy, truck driver, a builder. I was a reporter, a student, a musician. Yes, I'm one man, yet I'm all men. Right now I'm wearing jungle green up in New Guinea, oil-stained overalls in a munition factory, dungarees dirty with the red dust of the outback. Yes, I'm all of those men. And when I come back from the war, when the munition factories no longer want me, I'll be needing a job. Will there be one for me? Or will it be the same as after the last war?
1920.
What a life. Plenty of jobs, plenty of money.
Yeah, but look at the prices. They've skyrocketed. It's crazy. It can't last.
1921.
I told you it wouldn't last. Look how things are now. We're in for a depression.
Oh, it's only temporary. Things will pick up. You'll see.
1927.
There you are. I knew everything would be all right. The people say we've made a recovery. A slow one, sure, but we're on the right track.
1929.
So we've recovered. Recovered for what? The worst depression in the history of the world.
Yes, I guess you're right. What was the use of the war? We won it with our blood. Yet we've lost the peace through our neglect.
1930, 1932, 1933, 34, 35. Long, slow years of unemployment, hunger and want. Slowly, but oh how slowly, the nation made its recovery. By 1939, Australia had struggled towards reasonable prosperity. Unemployment figures had dropped. The sun shone again. Then, war.
Excuse me, but I'll take over from here. War is the people's business. We are the ones who win it or lose it. That we will win, there's no doubt. But will we win the peace? That, too, is our business.
May I interrupt?
Well, depends on what you have to say. Who are you?
Call me Reconstruction. Post-war Reconstruction.
Your title sounds impressive. What have you to tell us?
Plenty. I have a plan for the peace. I'd like you to tell me what you think of it.
I will.
First of all, there's your job. The one we've planned for you after the war. During the war, the Australian industry expanded by leaps and bounds. Full use must be made of that industry so that there'll be full and continuous employment for all.
That sounds intelligent.
It's not enough to make work available for every man and woman requiring it, but it must be the right work for the individual.
I fully agree.
Many will want training for their job, educating for their professions. University and technical college courses will be open for those eligible. They will receive training, books, living allowances, at the government's expense.
You have planned well.
Thank you. Then there's the housing problem. Slums must go, and in their place there must be solid, modern, hygienic houses of which a man may be justly proud. The people must have social protection from economic setbacks of sickness and disability. The people must develop in a land that is free from, as the Atlantic Charter puts it, free from want, freedom from fear.
That's the post-war Australia we want.
That is the post-war Australia you'll get. But remember, the task will not be easy. Nothing is ever easy in this world. These tasks Australia will face are so big that they must be planned on a national basis. But carrying the plans through to action will tax the resources of all our authorities, whether they are Commonwealth, state or local. Remember, only we the people can help to realise this. It's up to us.
You have been listening to a program presented by the Ministry of Post-War Reconstruction.
For our individual liberty, yours and mine, for the right to live and plan our own lives the way we want to? Or do you desire regimentation and restrictions to continue after the war?
How was it?
Not so hot. Gotta go up north, construction job.
Your wife won't like that.
Thank goodness when this war's all over, a man can pick his own job and who he works for. No, old man. If you give the federal government these added powers, you'll give it the right to dictate where you work, even after the war.
Look, darling, that's the very home that would suit us.
Yes. Yes, that's the very thing. We'll start building as soon as the war's over.
Yes.
Hold on, young man. You're planning too fast. Unless you vote no at the referendum, you may have to take what the government thinks suitable. And then, only if some official thinks you should have it.
How's things, Joe? Oh, all right. If it wasn't for so many darn government boards and officials.
Ah, well, Joe, after the war's over, a man will be his own boss again. No more boards and useless forms to fill in.
Aren't you over-optimistic, Farmer? If you give the government added powers, boards and bureaucratic departments will continue, and you'll still be told what to do. And then there's our fighting men. The government already has ample powers for rehabilitation of servicemen. The Australian Soldiers Repatriation Act, the War Gratuity Act, the War Service Homes Act, and the Commonwealth Public Service Act, all of which provide for pensions, gratuities, re-employment, and vocational training and housing. Vote against post-war regimentation. Vote against post-war bureaucracy. Vote for personal liberty. Vote no.
Here's the Honourable R.G. Menzies declaring in 1942 that post-war powers for the Commonwealth are essential. Here's the same R.G. Menzies in 1944 declaring that the powers are not necessary. Here's the Honourable R.T. Fadden in 1942 emphasising that the post-war powers of the Commonwealth are quite inadequate. Here he is 2 years later, like Dunstan and Playford, completely contradicting himself. Why have they switched? The explanation is simple but sinister. And no sooner had Menzies and Fadden demanded that the Commonwealth should have post-war powers to check profiteering and to control combines and monopolies than the big vested interests cracked the whip. Menzies and Fadden promptly somersaulted. Today they ask you to vote against national powers to rehabilitate our fighting men. They say that it's quite sufficient merely to repatriate them. Pensions are enough, they say. For jobs, they can look after themselves. Today they ask you to leave it to the combines and monopolies to see that there's no repetition of doles and depression. Well, we know how that works out. Remember the last time? Today they ask the farmer to abandon the system of guaranteed prices and markets which has brought him security and go back to the old precarious days of no stability. Tell you you'll sacrifice your liberties and freedom if you vote yes. They offer you pictures of iron and the hangman's noose. Our answer to them is this. There are no shackles more cruel than the shackles of unemployment and poverty. There's no noose more deadly than that which throttles the average man and woman when inflation smashes savings, diminishes earnings, and kills all hope. The only freedom worth having is freedom from the tyranny of profiteers, freedom to live prosperously in a land where the rights of the people count more than the greed of a grasping few. Give your Parliament the powers. Vote yes for Australia.
We